Well, good morning, boys, and great to be here with you today. It's a long time since I've been in a boarding school. I went to boarding school at Geelong Grammar in Victoria, and I think you guys have inherited your new principal. It's actually come from Geelong Grammar. But when I was sitting where you are, and I was a sports mad kid at school, I did footy, I did tennis, athletics, actually did swimming, represented school in breaststroke. So I was sitting here going, I got no idea, I could have no idea where my life journey would take me. You know, I love sport. I thought maybe I'll end up doing some sort of sport job. I went to university. I did agricultural science because that's sort of what I was interested in. I came off the land, as a farmer. And you have all these ideas about where you think you'll end up. Well, maybe you don't even know where you're going to end up. But one place I never thought I would end up is as Adventurer of the Year. Like, how do you get to be Adventurer of the Year? Really? Like, is that something out of James Bond? Or how do you get to be someone called Adventurer of the Year? And I could never have planned it. And I think if I look at how do I get from there to here, so much of it started where you guys are right now. So the stuff that actually has led me on my journey to where I am now is all about what I learned doing sport at school, in my school classes, through university a bit. But the sort of things that have been important to me, okay, that is important to you guys where you are right now in the swim team, you know, on your high school journey, is how do I achieve my personal best? So I reckon the way you get your personal best is, firstly, you've got to make the most of every opportunity you get. So you've got a great opportunity in the swim team, you've got a great opportunity in all sorts of stuff, and you've got to actually embrace that, really grab a hold of it. And you may never be the best, but if you actually train hard, if you prepare yourself well and give it your best, my experience is that you can achieve pretty much anything you want to. And you'll only get to do your personal best if you're part of a good team. So, you know, if you're prepared to help others, encourage others, be encouraged, take up what other people can give you, work together, that'll help you be your personal best and also help other people reach their personal best. So that was what I learned in school, in sport, and I thought, great, got my uni degree. I was never the smartest guy at school or uni, I was never the best at sport, but you know, worked hard, and I thought, well, agricultural science, here I come. And then I saw an advert in the paper for a completely different job. That was, for a para-rescue man. Anybody know what that is? Have a guess? Yeah?
Like if you go from a helicopter or something, can you
Pretty much.
get someone?
Pretty much. Parachute rescue. Who'd be interested in that if you saw that advertised? A bit more interesting than doing agricultural science. So I was fortunate enough to be selected into a recruit course. I was 21 at the time. Got trained in how to parachute with medical equipment packs hanging off us so we can actually administer first aid. I was trained to the level of an ambulance officer. We were trained to actually parachute offshore into the ocean. That was the main deal, was to try and rescue yachts that were sinking or people that had fallen off vessels. So we parachute in, and sometimes it can be pretty hard to parachute accurately where you need to be. So we did a lot of swimming training. Like, I mean a lot. So this is in Victoria, Bass Strait, that big body of water between Victoria and Tasmania, some of the roughest waters in the world, and we would swim between the islands in Bass Strait. So if you think that swimming is just a solo thing, it's me and my arms and the pool, I tell you, when you swim between the islands in Bass Strait, you're very happy to have a mate with you. It doubles your chances if a shark comes by, and it's pretty encouraging to have someone there to hold your hand. So did a lot of swimming, correct with the helicopter side of it. So you learn that if you're going to be successful in stuff that's challenging and exciting, you've actually got to rely upon others. You know, when you're getting winched into a helicopter, the most important person is this guy here, the guy who's controlling the winch. So here's another guy like me. He's a 20-year-old, he's getting the same training as me, but hopefully he's being just as diligent and careful about his work as what I am. So, cliff rescue, the stuff you can't do as a solo person. controlling a winch system like this takes about 3 or 4 people. So a lot of what we did is about challenging ourselves but working as a team. We used to do in the morning an hour and a half of PT, physical training, and in the afternoon an hour and a half of PT. A lot of swimming, a lot of running, a lot of weights. So it's about training, preparing yourself, but also working in a team. And we actually had the first horse search and rescue unit in Australia, which is pretty cool. Anybody here a horse rider? No, you're missing out. Nice creatures. Okay, so this was all looking fantastic. I thought, brilliant, I found a job I'm going to do for the rest of my life. You know, how good is this? And what happens sometimes is your plans for where you want to be actually don't quite play out. And this company went bankrupt. Okay, lost all its money, went out of business. So all of a sudden I was looking for a job. And at that stage, I packed up everything that I owned, which fitted in a car. And what I haven't mentioned yet, but we're going to come back to a bit, is my love affair with kayaks. So wherever you go, I go with kayaks. So everything fitted in the car, drove across Australia and went to a place called Margaret River. When you live in Victoria, we don't hear a lot about Margaret River, but this is the Willie Abrupt Sea Cliffs down at Margaret River. And I started an outdoor ed company called Marybrook, and that's when I met your teacher, Mr. Harvey, back here. So we ran abseiling at Willie Abrupt. Has anybody been out to the Sea Cliffs? Greg, do you do?
Yeah, we take some of the camps down there. A few of these boys we've gone.
Yep, okay. So what does it feel like when you're just about to lower yourself over the back of the cliff, yeah? Anybody? Good? Everybody else? What else does it feel like? Scary? Butterflies in the tummy? Yeah? So that's actually what it's about when you push the limits. If you're pushing the limits, that's what you're going to feel like. And at the same time as you're doing that, you're putting a whole lot of trust in another person. Who's that? The guy tying the ropes. Yeah? So, again, you won't be able to succeed in this unless you've actually relied upon somebody else. So I did this for about 12 or 15 years. We had an amazing team of people that actually worked together. And if you look at how Mr. Harvey works with his other outdoor ed teachers and how your swimming coach or your coaches work together, this doesn't work unless you can work together with other people. So that whole thing about working as a team to bring out your best happens in workplaces all the time. So this was some of my team that work with me, great young guys and women. So I got to a point where I said, like, I've done enough of this. So I don't know about your attention span, but my attention span is not that long. You know, I get bored with things. So I did this for about 10 years, sold the company, got a new car, a bit flashy car this time, but still a kayak to the roof, and we drove around Australia with my wife. We spent 12 months camping on the beaches, paddling all the rivers, crayfishing, all that good sort of stuff, and trying to work out what I wanted to do next. And what happened next, again, I could never actually guess this was going to happen. Remember, I studied agricultural science. You're supposed to be out in the farms, telling farms how to grow wheat. So anyway, I contacted a mate of mine who I work with in the search and rescue organisation and said, "Have you got any job?" He said, "Actually, yes. We're just starting up in Africa with safety training. What do you know about safety training?" I said, "Oh, well, not much. Used to do search and rescue." He said, "Great." So I was over in Africa, and this is my business partner in Nigeria, a guy by the name of Wellington Okotobe. And so in Africa, we built training centres to do sea survival training. So from the skills that we learned at the search and rescue, that's a portable training centre, teaching Africans sea survival. Most Africans don't like the water very much. So, as you can see there, so they're pretty appreciative of a bit of sea survival training. Teach them how to do firefighting. And we actually got so good at what we were doing that we got invited by NASA to come over to Houston, the US, to advise them on how to use, that guy there, this is NASA, that guy there, his name is Andy Thomas. He's the only Australian guy ever to be an astronaut to go into space. So he did 4 missions on the space shuttle in the 1990s and the 2000s. So Andy Thomas, amazing guy. And so NASA had this big pool that they call the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory. And this pool is 20 metres deep. Have a think about that. Like 20 metres. How high is your high diving board in your pool? How high? 10. Okay. So you think about how high the high diving board is. 10 metres. double that. That's how deep this pool is. 100 metres long, so double the size of an Olympic pool. And in this pool, down the bottom, you can't really see it in this light, but down here in the pool, they have a full-size replica of the International Space Station. So the space station that orbits the world all the time, sitting up there, they've got a full-size version of it. And what happens is they actually train astronauts down there, because when you're in the space, of course, there's no gravity. Yeah, you know how you float around like you do at a pool. So they kit them up in a spacesuit. That's a spacesuit this guy's wearing. It is so heavy, he's hooked up on his back, on this rail at the back. And so they send them down, they have a full control room, and if they've got to change a crane or a window on the space station, they practice it in the pool. And the reason they wanted us there was because they want to look, when people land, and if they don't happen to land back at the landing station where they plan to, they end up in the ocean, what can we teach them about sea survival? And this is the module for Apollo 13. So back in the 70s and 80s, the early American space programs, when they first put people on the moon, right, it's called the Apollo program. And this was the capsule which they actually landed in. They designed it, rather than have a space shuttle land on the Earth, they planned it to land in the water. So 3 guys, you can see the 3 of us there, in those spacesuits, in this little thing here, landing in the ocean. So another example, look, if you look at Andy Thomas, he went to University of WA. This is the astronaut I was just talking about. So studied mechanical engineering, decided he wanted to be an astronaut, went to the US, and did it. Could only have done it by challenging himself, and only do it if you're working with others. I mean, that's pretty close teamwork there. So my business partners in this business, I had 3 partners in this international business. We had 14 training centres in 11 countries. We trained NASA, we trained all over the world. And these guys, remember, the friends you're making now are the people, when you get to be my age, who will be your business partners. So this guy here, I did search and rescue with him, that's Rick Parrish. Mark Pepper did search and rescue with him. David James was our accountant. So in 2005 and 2006, we won Exporter of the Year. The federal government gave us a big award. And what we did then was we said, right, well, let's sell the business. Good time to sell up. And what I did was I bought a yacht and decided, let's go sailing. So sail around Indonesia, explore the beaches, living the dream. So this was all going great. And then what happens is that you're having this great life, and all of a sudden somebody reminds you that you're about to turn 50. So, your parents might be around that sort of age, and everyone thinks life stops at 50. Anyway, this mate of mine here, John Jacoby, rang me up, and he said, Andrew, Matt, he said, look, we've got to do something really big to celebrate when we turn 50. And I said, mate, that's great. We'll have a big barbecue, get all our mates around, it'll be fantastic. He said, no, we need to do something really big. And I said, well, we'll dress up as pirates, we'll make it a really good party. No, we need to go on the ultimate adventure. Well, what do you mean? Well, we need to do something that really pushes us, takes us to the limit. I go, oh, geez, mate, you reckon? So what are we going to do? So we hatched this plan to go to a place called South Georgia Island. How many people have been to South Georgia Island? Well, there we go. How do you know about it?
Well, because I just knew about the Falkland Islands.
Good work. All right. So South Georgia Island is this is South America. Okay, the bottom of South America is Cape Horn. This is Antarctica down the bottom, all the ice down the bottom of the globe, and right out the bottom of the South Atlantic Ocean is South Georgia Island. It's about the most isolated bit of Earth on the planet. So we decided we wanted to go there kayaking. That seemed like a good thing to do to celebrate turning 50. Now, you can't fly there. It's got no airports, it's got no flat ground for an airport. It's got no shipping there. No one lives there. So the first thing you've got to work out is how you're going to get there. The closest place you can get to is the Falkland Islands. Now, there's not much there, but there is an airport there. And what we did is we chartered a boat from the Falklands to go take us to South Georgia, which is 1,400 kilometres. So 1,400 kilometres is about the distance from here to the South Australian border. Right, so it's a pretty long way, and in pretty rough seas. The boat we selected was not this one, but this one. So it's about a 13-metre steel yacht. And it had enough, there were four of us in our team, there was enough berth for about 6 people. And we headed off, loaded up, I hatched back. We had to bring all of our gear with us. So all our paddling gear, all of our camping gear, everything we're going to need on South Georgia Island. And when you're going on a paddling expedition, there's probably one really important thing you're going to need, which would be what? Kayak, just about as important as kayak. Paddles. Okay, so paddles, kayaks are already there. We're already shipped the kayaks, we've got them dropped off in South Georgia by a company we knew. But paddles, so we put all of our paddles in one bag. Because when you're flying overseas, you pay per bag. So we've got all the paddles in one bag, they're pretty light. So we got all of our bags, and we flew all the way to the Falkland Islands, a long way from anywhere. So only one flight a week goes to the Falkland Islands, so anything that wasn't there wasn't going to come for a while. And guess what didn't come? Paddles. So we had to improvise, and you find this happen. Sometimes when you're on an expedition or you're doing whatever, you're doing a triathlon this afternoon, things won't go like you're planned. So you have to innovate, think about how we're going to get around this. So we managed to borrow some dodgy paddles from some Falkland Islanders, got a bit of wood. That didn't work too well. So this is my team here. John Jacoby, he is 4 times world marathon kayaking champion, pretty good paddler. He's also won just about every adventure race there is around the world. He runs a company now called Rapid Ascent. Some of you guys might have done the Anaconda race or the Augusta Adventure Race. Might have heard of that. So John runs those. That's his business. So he's a pretty good paddler. Next to him is Jim Bissert. So John and I were at uni together. So that's how we know each other a long time. Jim and I worked together doing the search and rescue stuff. And over the years, he worked for me doing all the offshore safety stuff. And then Chris on the far end is an Australian representative surf ski paddler. So great paddlers, but you still need the good tools. And we did borrow some paddles, and our paddles did arrive later on, but it certainly was a setback at the start. So we headed off, and you've got to take everything with you, including your supplies. Anyone recognise what these are? No, they're sheep, actually. So it's cold enough, you don't need to put it in the fridge. And through the trip, you just cut bits off as you need it. So you can see the weather didn't stay very good for very long. And pretty quickly it turned really nasty. So that's a pretty strong wind. That's 53 knots, which is about 100 kilometres an hour. And it didn't drop below that for 2 days. So I'd never been seasick before, because I love sailing, but I was seasick then. There's a little tin boat bumping up and down. But you know, like most things that are painful, it did come to an end. And about halfway across to South Georgia, we came across this iceberg, so a big floating block of ice, yeah? It had broken off from Antarctica and drifted north. This iceberg was the size of Rottnest Island. Amazing. It's just drifting around out there in the ocean. And it's slowly breaking up into little bits and pieces, you know, and in 10 or 20 years' time it won't exist, but you've got this big block of ice out there that you definitely don't want to run into. After 6 days sailing, bouncing around this little boat, we got to South Georgia. Now, no one lives on South Georgia now, but in the early 1900s, there was 1,000 people there catching whales. So, and these were these little huts they used to live in. They had all the sorts of stuff to look after, to sustain themselves down there, churches. They left it all behind when they left, because in 1965, basically the whale population had plummeted, there weren't any whales around, and they had to stop whaling. So that left this little island down in the bottom of the South Atlantic Ocean, down near Antarctica, with nobody on it, except this is what it looks like. So this is South Georgia, amazing place, pretty wild, pretty rugged, lots of wildlife, great place for the adventure of a lifetime which we planned out. And what we'd actually planned to do was to sea kayak around the island. So it's 165 kilometres long, so maybe from here to Bunbury, something like that, a bit further. And if we were successful, we'd be the first Australians ever to do it, and only the 4th team ever to do it. So pretty out there sort of challenge. We were going to carry all of the gear in our boats. So we load up the kayak with our food, our tents, our sleeping gear, our stoves. The yacht was going to follow us if we got in trouble and do resupplies, but we had to be on our own. And the day we launched, there are some scientific researchers down there, and they came down to see us off. And I really don't think they thought they'd see us again. They thought we were pretty crazy doing what we were doing. But we felt like we'd spent 2 years preparing, we'd done a huge amount of training, a huge amount of research. We were really confident as a team, and when we set off, whilst we didn't really know what we were setting off to, we felt pretty confident. Now, when you're paddling a kayak, how many people have paddled kayaks? Most paddling go. Okay, so you're paddling there, you're doing it by yourself, yeah? Okay. Doesn't look like a teamwork sort of activity, just me and my kayak. But when you, and if you're just going to paddle up and down the Swan River, it probably is just a solo sort of thing. But if you want to push boundaries, if you want to achieve your best, if you want to be Adventurer of the Year, if you want to actually go to places that people haven't gone before, you're only going to be able to do it as a team. So you need people to encourage you when you're feeling down. Remember, these guys I was paddling with the world champions. I'm not a world champion, but I can still actually contribute to the team. They wanted me on the team. I've done all sorts of preparation and planning, and I can put up a tent as well as anybody. But you actually got to be a team, because on the first night, we got hit like this.
What are we going on here, Jim? Water's down.
So the wind came through so strongly, it picked up the kayak and threw the kayak on top of the tent. So we ended up retying it down, putting big rocks on the kayak. But you know, it's not about being the fittest or the strongest. Sometimes it's about being the most resilient. Sometimes it's about being the most resourceful. Sometimes it's about being the one who is enthusiastic when everyone else is feeling down. So at times like this, everybody pulls in together. We headed off along the north coast. We thought the north coast would be the easy coast. It should be the sheltered coast. It was pretty gloomy, but we had some pretty amazing experiences along the way. This is a southern right whale. So they killed most of the whales, but they're starting to come back. And you can see how easy they would have been to catch. And this thing's got no fear of us at all. We're probably from me and Mr. Harvey away from it. So we camped on big beaches. Our little tent here in this massive valley. This beach here, you can sort of see in this photo, this beach is absolutely covered in seals. You've actually got to shoot them out of the way, so I want to put my tent here, guys, you know, out of the way for us. So this was about a week into the trip. The yacht caught up with us. We're going to do a resupply with the yacht. And when we went out to resupply, the weather had been pretty rubbish. Like, it had not been very nice. And the forecast was for it to be pretty windy this day. In our team, what we decided is we would make decisions by consensus. Consensus means what? Say again? Both. Yeah, both, all together. So it means we're not going to have a vote. We're not going to let the leader make the decision. Everyone is going to make the decision. So on this day, we said, are we going to paddle today? We're going to have an easy day on the yacht. And I said, looks like an easy day to me. We're pushing ourselves pretty hard. John, the world champion, 4 times marathon canoeing champion, adventure racer around the world, says, let's get going. And so we've got this conflict going. What are we going to do? And we could not come to a decision collectively. So it was the first and only time we actually put it to the vote. And the vote said 3-1, we're going to spend the day on the boat. Which was a good thing, because the wind was 70 knots. That's 140 kilometres an hour. We were down below and we heard this crash, and the dinghy got lifted up by the wind, turned upside down. We went up to try and fix it up. One of the crew members, Kirsten, who was this young lady, got picked up by the wind when this gust came across, and only got saved when Chris grabbed her from falling off the side of the boat. So, good day not to be paddling. So, we're on the north coast. This was supposed to be the easy coast. And we're thinking, hell, what is the south coast going to be like? Now, if this is the north coast, are we going to be able to do this? Doubts coming into our heads. Maybe this is beyond us. Every other team has failed on the south coast. How are we going to go? You know, we're 50 after all. Are we too old for this? You know, we've done a lot of training, but maybe it's beyond us. So we paddled off towards the turning point. We turned around onto the south coast, really worried. And when we turned around the corner, guess what happened? Sun came out. Sun came out, got a floating iceberg coming past, and we had this absolutely amazing experience down this coast that is just the most incredibly beautiful and challenging countryside you've ever seen. So this is brash ice, and this is like paddling through an ice slushy, trying to get your paddle in the water to pull yourself through. There are open water patches over here, but definitely the hardest part of the paddling along this south coast. And we got to the end of the south coast. The end of the south coast is this place called Cape Disappointment. Huge big cliffs. So the Southern Ocean is the wildest ocean in the world, the ocean which surrounds Antarctica, with the biggest winds, the biggest swells, and there are 3 lumps of rock in the world that project down into the Southern Ocean. One of them is called Cape Horn, that's in South America. One of them is called Cape of Good Hope, that's the bottom of the African continent. And the third one is Cape Disappointment. So we're heading into literally the roughest oceans anywhere on the planet. And we thought, we're doing good. We had 3 days of good weather, we crashed through the south coast, and on this day, the weather started to close in. We thought, well, we've only got 10 kilometres to go, we'll sneak around the corner. So we dragged our kayaks around this rocky beach, put into the water there. And initially it was okay, like it was probably 20 knots, that's a normal sea breeze for our doctor sort of strength, paddling along. And then it got to about 25 knots and we're surfing down these waves, and this is pretty cool. It gets about 30 knots and we're going, this is a bit challenging, and the swells are now coming in and hitting the cliffs and bouncing back, so you get these swells bumping into each other. And then it gets to like 35 knots and we get separated. You know, like it's planning to paddle together, but you get this strong, it's like everyone for themselves here. So, you know, the whole teamwork thing, looking out for each other is great, but in actual fact the conditions didn't allow it. If we messed up here, basically next stop is Antarctica. You know, like there's no rescue, there's no search and rescue. The other kayaks aren't going to come and get you. So talk about being on the edge. And we had previously looked at Google Earth to plan this out, because we knew this would be the crux. We knew this would be the hardest part of the trip. And there's this little passage, 8 metres wide, so like from me to the wall wide. There's a massive big coast and big cliffs, and a little gap like this that's supposed to be at the end of Cape Disappointment. So we're coming along to go, where is this gap? Where is this gap? And we're coming into a little funnel of cliffs where we think the gap should be, and the waves are coming in and crashing and bouncing back off the walls at us. The wind is now probably 40 knots, so we're talking 80 km/h winds in a little kayak. The water, the spray is ripping off the waves, smashing us in the face. And I think, hell, this little passage's got to show up soon. Where is it? Where is it? And we turned a corner, and I actually didn't take any photos in that film, sorry about that. But we got to the little passage, and I've never been so happy to see a flat bit of water in my life. And certainly super exhilarating. So you can see Jim's pretty happy at that stage. Jim actually had his sail up, with these little sails, and he couldn't get his sail down. The rest of us got our sails down. He hadn't got his sail down. So he was a good couple hundred metres in front of me. And I'm going, mate, you better get that sail down soon. You know, like if you don't get that sail down, there's no coming back from where you are now. Anyway, he ended up using his teeth, you know, to get it down. And we came around the corner. We're now on that last bit home, the northeast coast, And again, the weather just turned absolutely glorious, like sunny and incredible. So those icebergs actually are hard as rock. You sort of ever wondered if they're soft or not? They're not soft, they're just like rock. So we've come around the corner, we've actually got the homeward run, and all of a sudden we've just got this massive amount of wildlife. So these are elephant seals. These are the ones you sometimes see in documentaries fighting on the beaches, bumping into each other. That's one of the females. She's molting, so losing her skin. She's not very happy about that. And the big males are not that happy about us being on the beach either with their girls. So they have a bit of a go at us. But the other seals which are there are the fur seals. These are the same seals, or very similar to the seals you get at Cathedral Rocks on Rottnest Island. So basically, moderate size, not big ones, and they're normally pretty friendly. You can see they were following us, they were curious, they were chasing us along. Every now and then you get a bad one. And we had this one here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little seal here in the back of the dinghy. That wasn't planned, by the way. So we get to the boat, and we're going to get some food for the boat, and he thought, well, I don't want to be in your boat. So moments before this photo was taken, there were 6 of us in the dinghy. So Jim, my mate, was sitting here with his legs open like this, and the seal's coming and he's nuts. So he's gone, I'm in the cold water. That's a better option than getting attacked by the seal. The other 2 guys have jumped up on the side of the yacht. They're laughing at us, and you can see I'm here protecting the girls from the seal. They're bashing with the paddle to get rid of it. And it took a lot of encouragement to get him out. And I actually ended up getting a bite on my arm, which fortunately didn't get too bad, but you do have to be a little bit careful with these guys. The animals you don't have to be careful about are the penguins, and there are millions of penguins. Millions and millions and millions of penguins. And you've got different sorts. This is the gentoo penguins. The gentoos have got really bad eyesight, so they come right up to you, pick your toes, or climb on the kayak and see if there's something there for them to eat. The macaroni penguins have got these really cool yellow eyebrows. The chicks aren't worried about you at all. You just hang out with them. That's a chin strap penguin feeding its baby. And these are the king penguins. What the other guys was asking before, is it an emperor penguin? It's not. The emperor penguins, which are the happy feet penguins, you only get on the Antarctic continent, and they're about up to your hip. They're pretty big. These ones here are probably up to my thigh, so it's still pretty big, but not as big as the emperors. But beautiful creatures. So they're having it. The reason they're on South Georgia at the moment is they're having their young. Most of the time they're swimming around eating fish, but here they're having their babies. And the babies stay with their mothers and fathers for 14 months, which is a long time when you're a penguin. And you get to a stage where really, like a lot of you guys will be soon, you really should be leaving home. So this guy's about to lose the last of his fur and head off on his own. They love being in the water, and they love hanging out at the beach. So we just about finished our circumnavigation. Our last campsite was this little campsite down here on a little isthmus between 2 bays. Sometimes the wind could rock it through there, but on this day it was beautiful. And we're getting near the end. John and I climbed up this big cliff, and up the top of the big cliff were these birds circling around like they were doing formation flying, like the Air Force jets flying around together. These are lightly mantled sooty albatross. And they landed on this little cliff edge nest, and they're preening each other. Absolutely beautiful. And around the bottom was this bird called a wandering albatross. Has anybody heard of a wandering albatross? Do you know why it's famous? Biggest flying bird on the planet. Okay. Their wingspan is 2.5 metres. Okay, so 2.5 metres. You stretch your arms out. Okay. Stretch your arms out, and then if you go next to the mate next to you, like that, that is about 2 metres. The two of you joined up together. So this is a seriously big bird, flying around. So we've just about finished. This is our finish point here. This is the highest mountain on the island, Mount Sugarloaf. We're coming back in, and after 11 days of paddling, we finished. The fastest before us was a group of New Zealanders who did it in 18 days. And we thought, pretty good going actually, that'd be good. We thought we'd do 18 or 19 days, we did it in 11 days. And you reckon we told the Kiwis? It wasn't a competition, but you know, it was. And no injuries. We couldn't believe it. We're all 50-year-olds. When we landed, there was a guy on the jetty who said, "Oh, but you were too old." And anyway, we showed him. You know, the stuff you do in your life is not limited by how young or how old you are. It's about your attitude, your training, your preparation, how willing you are to work with other people. So we have one last thing to do on the island. Now, Sir Ernest Shackleton. How many people have heard of Shackleton? Yep. Okay. So I'll tell you about him in a moment. But we were trying to retrace his steps. He had crossed over the island from here to here, across the icy interior in 1916. There were no maps on the island. No one had done it before. But he had got himself in serious trouble. He had gone down to Antarctica in a vessel called the Endurance. He got stuck in the ice. He got crushed by the ice and sank. He and his team spent 16 months, that's more than a year, living on the ice in Antarctica. And then ultimately the ice broke up around him. They went in the ship's boats, the little lifeboats, well, not lifeboats, little rowboats, to a place called Elephant Island. So Elephant Island, finally after 16 months he was on solid land rather than ice, but no one was going to find him on Elephant Island. No one goes to Elephant Island. So what he did was they adapted one of their rowboats, and this boat here is called the James Caird, and they said, well, the only place we're going to get rescued is in South Georgia, where we know there are these whaling stations. So this is, how far? Like 3,500 kilometres, like from here to Melbourne. And South Georgia's tiny, they've got no GPS, okay, no compasses, but no mobile phones. Amazing. And so they set off, and it was actually the most amazing story of survival, the most amazing small boat passage ever made. They found it 16 days at sea, and they got to King Harkin Bay. So King Harkin Bay is down here. Very different weather to us when they got there. We've got modern climbing gear and safety gear and small stoves and great food. And even for us, this was a big challenge. The weather turned nasty for us. We got stuck in the tent for a whole day. We couldn't get out with the wind and the snow coming across. They found their way across this glacier. This is the Crean Glacier. And 3/4 of the way across this glacier, we found something that everyone said we wouldn't be able to find, which was a helicopter that crashed there in the Falklands War. So in 1982, the Argentinians from Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, British land, and they said, we want to take it over. The British came down to retrieve the land, and they lost a couple of helicopters here. So we found it not a good place for flying a helicopter, by the way, down here, pretty windy and awful. So it took us 3 days. We crossed the island, and then at the end, we got to the whaling station here. This is where Shackleton finished his epic survival story. For us, it was the end of our epic adventure in South Georgia. We got a nice little snowstorm as we landed there, and we waited to be picked up by the yacht that was coming around to get us. That's John, Jim and myself. Chris didn't do the crossing. But by this stage, we spent a month on the island. We're the only team that have ever done the circumnavigation and the Shackleton crossing. We proved to ourselves that it doesn't matter how old you are, if you do the training, if you do the preparation, if you plan well, if you're prepared to work in a team and help each other, go through the tough times and the good times, you never know what you can achieve. And for us, it was never our goal, that's us sailing home, but it was never our goal, but we got approached by Australian Geographic to say, you know, would you be interested if we nominated you to be Adventurers of the Year? And we said, well, we just went down to have some fun. We weren't sponsored. We didn't raise money for some big charity. We just went down there as 4 blokes out to have a good time. And we were, the Australian Geographic gives the Adventurer of the Year award every year. If you guys are interested, everyone's interested, that's coming along afterwards. That's what the medal looks like. And they award it every year. But normally they award it to an individual, to a single person who has done something amazing in adventure. This was the first time, and still the only time, they've given it to a team. Because they said, in this occasion, it was not about individual effort, it was about team and collective effort. So for us, we're really proud of that. We're really proud of what we achieved. We didn't go down there for that reason, we went down there for our own reasons. But what I'd encourage you guys, where you're sitting right now, you guys are in the best place ever. You live in the best city in the world. You know, you go to an incredibly good school. You've got sport, so much great sport in front of you. You know, hopefully this year you can get one more point and you can actually win the championship. But you know, and if you challenge yourselves, if you make the most of every opportunity you get, remember to encourage each other. You know, enjoy working with each other. It's not about you, because ultimately if it's just you, you'll only get so far. You know, you'll achieve your best outcome if you actually put your best outcome with everybody else's. So guys, I hope that's been interesting. Good luck with your campaign this year. I hope you do get that extra point. Beat those Christchurch boys. If anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but good luck for your year, hey?